This reel is still the most viewed reel on my Instagram channel.
Ich heiße Sneh. Will you be my sunshine?
3.3 million views. 3,200 comments. You're kind of famous. See.
Looks like I am. I was reading the comments. Some of them offered me tickets back to India. I'm really happy about that because tickets are very expensive. So please feel free.
Yep. A lot of people said terrible things. We will talk about that. We will get into that as well. But for now, let's actually start with a little bit of introduction about you. Tell us about you. Where are you from? How come you moved from India to Germany?
I am from India. I have been living in Germany from right in the middle of COVID. I moved here in September 2020. And then I've been living here since last 4 years. Like other stereotypical Indians, I am also an IT guy. I am working in software, in e-commerce. The reason behind moving to Germany, one of them was I was telling you that I wanted to have a bit of more of work-life balance, and I wanted to see and explore Europe, so which is why I moved here, mainly for work.
So the work-life balance was much worse over there, yeah?
It was sort of, I would say, there we used to focus more on work, less on life, probably because of the priorities, but here I get a chance to explore other things when I'm done with my work.
Yeah. So, in India, you're from Bengal.
Yes.
Which exact place over there?
I'm from Calcutta.
Calcutta. What would you say was the biggest culture shock coming from Bengal to Germany?
So, from the last 10 years, from 2010 to 2020, I was living in Bangalore. Then I moved here. Not much of a culture shock, but I would say some things were really good. For example, the healthcare system, the public transport. Now it has become a bit questionable, but initially, the people here had been nice. Fortunately or unfortunately, I have heard very different stories, but I had been probably very lucky. I never had to face any negative hurdles till now. And there are some difference in culture, which I would say for the first time I experienced. Are you recording this? I'll talk about FKK.
What's that, FTK?
Afkaka.
No problem at all. Okay. We can talk about everything here.
Yeah. So I really like to go for swimming. So when I went to a swimming pool, the Berliner Bäder, very close to my house, I saw a different scenario inside the changing room, which is completely different from India. So that was probably the biggest cultural shock. Otherwise, I was mentally prepared for everything else, which I am going to face. German bureaucracy is a bit slow. It took some time for me to get all the residence permit, blue card, and finally the permanent residence card. But overall, it has been nice because I was also getting support from my employer a lot for these kind of paperwork. So
from the lawyer?
From a lawyer, yes.
Yeah.
So from a lawyer, or my employer has different departments. They take care of all these kind of scenarios. So overall, I would say it had been smooth the last 4 years. Except for I had to learn a new language. I recently did B1, so the grammar is complicated. But yeah, I think every country has their own hurdle.
How's your German now?
I can understand. Ein bisschen.
Ein bisschen, no?
Ein bisschen, yeah.
And you also have an interesting way of saying your name, because Sneh is a bit difficult for Germans to pronounce, so I guess you tried to shorten it and came up with a short version, Sneh, which is also a German word.
Yes.
Schnee.
Yeah.
So it sounds like snow.
Yeah, it sounds like snow, and the spelling is Schnaa. And sometimes I have seen in emails my colleagues or my teammates, they have addressed CHNAA instead of my name.
Sneh.
Probably because of it's easier for them to pronounce.
Yeah. Tell me about that part of life, work. You're working as a data engineer, right?
Yes.
And how was it for you to integrate into the local work environment?
Yeah. So funny story. I think I'm still integrating. Sometimes I work a bit more, and my peers and managers get a bit scared that this could be a problem. Don't work more or overtime because
you still have the Indian work-life
balance. I
balance.
still have the Indian work-life balance, and I think I'm still trying to balance. I still have not been able to balance it yet. So that is still in progress, but I'm really happy that all my colleagues and my managers have been helping me to get integrated into these kind of work culture. If I work more, they always send me an alert like, now you're working more, you need to log out.
But I guess it must be beneficial in career to be hardworking, and probably they recognize you and appreciate you for it as well.
Yes, that had been there always. So we have been, my colleagues have always been recognizing each other for our work, irrespective of where we come from or how much time we're working. Ultimately, we need to work and deliver. So that had been nice. Compared to India, here people had been very straightforward, which I really liked, and they were very honest about whether giving feedback or being critical about something. In India, it had been a bit indirect, but I really like the direct approach here. So, which also helps me improve in certain points. So, and as I was mentioning, I really liked the work-life balance here. So, after work, I could spend time on learning German or going for a gym. Now even I've registered for Bachata. Though I have been a bit irregular because I was traveling due to work and for personal reasons, but probably from the upcoming weeks I will be spending more time on that as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Your workplace, I guess, is also quite international. It's usually the case in tech.
Yes, it is indeed. Yeah.
How do you deal with all different cultures coming together? Are there sometimes misunderstandings?
No, not really, because we follow certain frameworks and standards while working, so there had not been many misunderstandings due to cultural indifference, because the language we speak at work is English, more or less. So there had not been much of conflict due to culture, I guess.
Well, that's a big achievement, I guess, that tech has achieved, right? That they have found processes to make people from all walks of life work together quite productively.
Yes. And luckily, my team had always been very nice. So the team which I have been working with from past 2 years, they had been very nice and cooperative. So I never had any conflict, I don't remember of, just due to cultural indifference. But we are working with different people from different countries. Many are obviously from Germany. There are some from India, from South America, France, Italy, Spain. A lot of people from Spain as well. Yeah.
What was the original reason that you actually moved out, other than the work-life balance thing? Did you also know that you would be, let's say, did you expect the kinds of problems that you ended up facing, or did you get surprised by what you ended up facing?
Are you talking about like what kind of problems you're?
Yeah, actually, we didn't really talk about the problems yet, so that question doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm just gonna ask something like that later. I wanna ask about friendships and social life for now, because you have a good relationship with your coworkers, and usually that's also how you end up forming friendships. But then also you work a lot, so you probably don't have a lot of time to actually socialize. Do you see your workplace mainly as a place to be productive, or do you also manage to connect with the people on a more personal level?
To be very honest, right now, after COVID, we have been working from home, so we do not get to interact in person. So workplace is more or less like workplace, but we do connect over what are those applications called? IMs. So, but there is very limited in-person interactions. We do that often, like once in a quarter. We all of us meet and exchange our ideas, work together. But otherwise, we are a completely remote organization. So my colleagues have been very good friends as well. I have got different kinds of support from them. Apart from that, I don't see. I mean, I have never had any further. I mean, the workplace had been a place for work. Yeah.
So then that, of course, leads us to the topic of social life. How do you make friends? How did you make friends here after moving to Germany?
Good question. So I have been more or less very introverted. I think everyone tells me that as well. Like, you do not interact with people a lot. Most of the time I have been doing my own stuff. So, I mean, to me, it was never a big problem that I do not have many friends. However, I know a couple of people who are from my state in India, and I often meet them. They are like very good families, and they support me like my family members. So I never had this disconnect that I do not have many friends. I also have a roommate. He is also from India. I have a couple of friends who are in Bangalore working with me. Now they have recently moved to Berlin. So on the weekends we meet them. I have many friends from my university and school days who are living in Germany, France, Poland, Switzerland. So I never felt like I need to make more friends. Whenever I miss them, I just visit them.
That's pretty awesome, actually, that so many people moved away from India, and the people that you also knew. Is it some kind of selection bias that the people that you knew ended up moving, or did basically all people who work in tech end up moving?
Not all of my friends are in tech. They are mostly into academia, like pure science, physics, mathematics, statistics. They have moved, like it's a coincidence, I would say. After some of them were already there before. One of my very good friend, he lives in Hamburg. He kind of inspired me to move to Germany because the tech scene here is better than compared to other European countries. So yeah, some of them were there before, some of them have moved after I have moved here. So it's more of a coincidence, no biasing.
You think it's a coincidence that so many of the people in STEM fields ended up moving out of India?
I personally feel one of the reasons people moving out of India is money, because in India you pay lots of taxes.
In India you pay more taxes than here?
To be very honest, no, but in return you do not get back as much as when you are spending on taxes. Here you have at least some free healthcare, and your next generation gets free education.
Okay,
So
you're saying basically the public services, the
Public
infrastructure
services,
is not worth the work that you have to put in to get it.
Yeah, maybe the lifestyle improvement and the infrastructure which you get around, which is nice. And then there is another trend. Probably a lot of people move to the US. Probably that's a different story altogether. There you get lots of money.
Yeah.
So
US is known as the highest paying
tech
place.
heaven. Yeah, but the cost of living there is also very high. So probably I feel now Germany is on the rise. Earlier people used to move to Canada and US, but now I see lots of Indians here around.
True. This has changed a lot in the last 10-15 years.
Yes.
I guess there was like a program of the German government to support people coming in, and they lowered the restrictions. I think they lowered language requirements or something like that.
Yeah. The program is called the Blue Card program.
Okay.
So
and
this is for working professionals only, but I nowadays see lots of students as well. They are
Lots of
studying
students.
here. Yeah.
Lots of students.
Yes.
What do you think about that? When you see all those Indians, you said like on the bus, there's like every time 2 or 3 other Indians now.
I guess we are now the most populated country in the world, so these kind of distribution ratio will be always there. So wherever I go, I see lots of Indians and lots of people from China. Maybe because of the population explosion, and then there are lots of tourists as well, not only people who are living here. So, I mean, there's nothing to feel about it. Probably we should be proud that we have a footprint all over the world.
That's something to feel, I would say.
Yes.
At the same time, I feel like a lot of those Indian students are struggling a bit. They're coming here oftentimes with this promise and with this hope of having a really comfortable, better life, but then they go through the institutions here and they go through their education, and it's not so easy to find a job, especially if you don't know the language very well, and also if you don't necessarily work in tech. So those people who don't do tech degrees, they usually struggle a bit, in my experience. And I almost feel like sometimes they are disappointed that Germany isn't as good as it looked on paper.
Yeah, it depends again. Like, probably someone who is moving from his country or her country should do some more research and then move here so that they do not get disappointed. There should be some kind of target that this is what I want to achieve. And based on that, they do the next level of planning so that once they're here, they're like, oh no, I ended up in a wrong place. So that situation should ideally not arise if you do some kind of pre-work and then move. Education is difficult everywhere. I mean, in India, in Germany, or it's not easy. We need to understand that.
Did you ever have this doubt in your mind where you're like, maybe it wasn't the right decision, maybe I should have stayed, or maybe I should go back?
Whenever I am traveling in Deutsche Bahn, sometimes I see these situations happening. So once I was traveling back from Stuttgart, my train was delayed by almost 4 or 5 hours. I was thinking, probably why have I moved here? I should have stayed back.
Indian trains are more on time.
Yes, and sometimes at Ausländerbehörde, I had to wait for like 6-7 months just to get my residence permit renewed or get a new card for this permanent residence. This wait time, and then there is no response. This made me feel a bit frustrated. Then again, I saw in the news, I saw one guy in Stuttgart was sleeping right in front of the Ausländerbehörde just to get his appointment done. Then I realized at least I have this kind of support from my employer that I do not have to do something like extreme like this. But yeah, I mean, these scenarios are a bit tedious for someone who is waiting for quite some time.
Okay.
Otherwise, I probably always wanted to be here. When I was in my school, I used to listen to this band, which is now a bit controversial, called Rammstein. A lot.
Rammstein.
Yeah. Rammstein, yes, a lot. So probably I had fantasized like Germany will be like that. So it is not like that. Yeah.
Do you ever feel some form of guilt for leaving Mother India behind? Because you know, when so many smart people run behind the money, quote unquote, and go to those countries where they get paid well, it could also lead to India actually getting left behind, right? Because you are the people who can build the infrastructure that is lacking over there, and yeah, it might be contributing to the poverty of India, that there's the brain drain. Do you ever feel like that?
So I have worked in India for almost 6 years. So I had gained that experience. India and Germany has a tax pact. So I guess India earns a huge amount with the foreign remittance. So even though we are here, we are doing lots of contribution to the Indian economy by sending money from here to there. And I don't know. I have some plans in future to do something there as well, but probably I'll stay here and do those things. So not really. I am feeling guilt because I have not done anything like tax invading and then I ran away. I came with my qualification and so like I did not do anything wrong by moving here. And India has a large population and large number of techies are waiting to get a job. So I probably moved out and created a vacancy for somebody else and they can take over my position. So
what is your opinion on why India doesn't have such good infrastructure? Why is India behind in many of these dimensions? What do you think?
So I recently went to India. I did not feel like that, to be very honest, at least in the bigger cities. What I really like about Europe is the public transport, which we lack there. So in Bangalore, there sometimes is a huge traffic. So probably something. I saw lots of entrepreneurs have come up with ideas to be pitched to solve these problems. But probably these are the things which needs to be addressed. I even was going through some similar kind of interviews like this. I read one person was saying in Bangalore I spend 2 to 3 hours in public transport or in my car commuting to and fro office. So that is like 4 hours of your day you are just wasting in public transport or in transportation.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why is India behind in traffic? Why is India poor?
India is not poor.
India is pretty poor. I mean, there's
No.
GDP per capita is very
per
low.
capita income is.
That's what poverty means for me.
Yes. Yeah.
Why is it? Why do you think?
There could be many reasons. One is that there are people who are not educated enough, so this kind of awareness is required. So not everyone is working in a high earning position. So this sometimes creates a huge gap between a rich and a poor person, which I feel something eventually will get addressed because now the overall earning has increased. But we also need to accept the fact which you said, like per capita income is less compared to the other countries in Europe. But if you look into the charts where they rank countries based on their GDP, India is among the top 10. I think it comes right after Germany. But then India has a huge population, so the money that had been collectively earned gets divided across. So
yeah, I mean that's an important
to
thing
me
to
it's
consider.
very, very sentimental to call my motherland poor, but we need to address this as well.
So it's a sentimental thing for you. That's why it's a bit painful, right, to hear that word.
Yeah.
But I guess you need to face it if you want to fix it. But then of
True.
course there are other ways to measure poverty. You don't have to measure poverty by GDP. You can
True.
measure poverty by gross happiness product. You can.
Yeah, there is a neighboring country next to India.
Bhutan.
Bhutan, yes. They do that.
So you're saying that eventually you might want to go back to India and actually build something there. Take me through your vision.
I don't know about going back immediately, but maybe sometime down the line.
I gotta tell you, that's like something that I would say 80-70% of Indian immigrants who come here say, but they stay.
Even I've seen that. So because we get a bit more comfortable here, the life is easy.
Why do you think that people say they want to go back, but then why don't they just say they want to stay if that's what ends up happening most of the time?
One of the biggest aspect I feel is because the life is very easy and you get lots of benefits here. Like people who are with their family, they get Kindergeld, their children's education if they are not studying in a private school, it's free. in India there is a bit of rat race, I would say, because everyone is fighting for some position or some kind of establishment, or to get their career shine. They need to work a lot. For the next generation, I feel people who are living with their family finds it comfortable that their children finds it easier here. Why to put them back into the same struggle again? So that is one of the aspect. Second aspect, what I feel is that that is very personal to me. The healthcare here is kind of free. We do contribute a lot of amount of money in public or private insurance, whatever you have. But then after that, you do not need to worry further. In India or the subcontinent, it is not that easy. Here also, sometimes finding a doctor's appointment is complicated, but then once you have it, you get lots of support from there. Obviously, language is a barrier, which I personally feel people who are moving here should be aware that they are not moving to an English-speaking country. So, but then the third aspect is after retirement, you get lots of benefits as well, like pension and stuff, which is not a scenario in India if you are not a government employee. So, I mean, in my last 4 years, these are the things which I have seen, because I know a couple of families who live here. By observing them, I felt that this is something which is sort of making them feel that it's easier to stay here than to go back.
But they often live in this eternal inner conflict where they're like, actually we want to move back, but right now it's okay here. And you are maybe already in that conflict yourself right now as well. You say, yeah, someday I want to move back, but it seems like that's not a healthy way to live when you're in your mind always with one step out, but then the real step is in the country very firmly. And you know, you probably would make different decisions. You would probably invest more in your life here if you were to decide and actually make up your mind on whether you want to stay. And if you want to stay, then you'd probably work more on making life here really good earlier on.
To be very honest, when I initially moved here, I was a bit conflicted that should I be going back or should I be staying here? But now seeing all the support, and to me the biggest barrier was the language. Now I understand a bit. So I feel like instead of thinking about what will happen in the future, whether I stay here or I move back, I should focus on what I am doing right now. So depending on that decision, whatever I am doing right now, from my financial decisions or work related decisions, they are sort of influenced by the fact that I have decided to be here for the long term. But even if I want to contribute something for my country, I can do it from here. Lots of people are doing that.
Absolutely.
If you look in, particularly in US, there are lots of Indians who have even opened lots of startups who have their offshore business in India, but they are living in US. I mean, I do not want to compare Germany and US one-on-one, but it is not like someone who is living outside India is not contributing to India.
Absolutely.
And I will tell you a very detailed fact about Germany. The Indian National Army was established in Germany, in Hamburg. Subhash Chandra Bose registered here. So
wow. There's a good connection, right?
The national anthem of India was registered in Hamburg.
Wow.
Rathaus, Hamburg. So,
no way.
So it's not like you are outside the country and you are not contributing to it. I mean, I'm not doing it, but this was done in the past. So
that's a good point. I mean, also nationality is just kind of a box that we put people in, but ultimately we are all humans, and there's transitions between all cultures. You said that in the beginning when you came here it was a bit difficult, and you thought about maybe I could imagine going back. I guess one reason was language. As you get used to everything, you learn the language, you realize actually I can make it work. But I'm sure there was also an element of just missing home. Was that a thing for you, like missing family and home?
So I have been living outside of Calcutta from 2010, so that had never been a big problem for me. Sometimes I miss Indian food. The Indian food here is horrible at the restaurants. So which made me improvise and start cooking. When I was in India, I used to have we were living like 4-person together in an apartment, and we had a designated cook who used to come and cook for us. But here you do not get that kind of luxury.
In that way,
Germany is poor, or maybe Germany is very rich that we cannot afford it. We are poor. And that made me do lots of stuff by myself, which I was never doing before in India. To be very honest, in my last 28 years, I have never cooked anything. But from 2020, I started preparing food. And then when I saw Indian food is not really up to the mark in Berlin or anywhere in Europe, I would say. It's so weird. I don't know why. I started looking into recipes and I started cooking. So this is something I have learned probably.
Do you get the taste as good as back home?
Somewhat. Not like exactly like back at home, but yeah, something similar. You do not get all the ingredients which you get there.
Yeah.
And there we cook on fire, which gives a different taste. Here we cook either in back oven or in induction. So
just looking at the sound, because it's a little bit low on your end. Maybe you can speak up.
Okay, sure.
Speak up a little bit. That's okay.
Put it closer.
Yeah, and you can also sit comfortably and not as close, so that it's nicely in your face, so you can basically ignore it. Great,
okay.
Great. So you're saying you're basically living away from family for a long time. Nevertheless, you must be in touch with them, and how do they feel about you being away for such a long time? You feel like, it's kind of the normal thing for me now. How do they feel about it?
Yeah, so luckily due to WhatsApp, I am almost kind of in hotline connection with my family members. Whenever something comes up, they immediately calls me. So I think it's an Indian thing. All the parents, they call, or the family members, they call you at any point of time. So sometimes that's annoying. And but I have asked my family members to visit, and maybe someday they will.
Nice.
Apart from that, probably because I have been living outside my home from last 14 years, I think it has become sort of habituated, so nobody misses me that much, because they are also habituated in that scenario.
Very often also Indians who come abroad are the sole breadwinner for the whole family, and end up not just sending taxes back through the tax pack, but also sending lots of remittances back. How is that in your case?
Touch wood, my father is still working. We have a family business, and I also contribute to some of it, but there is a significant amount of remittance as well. But that is not for my father, that is for myself, for my future investments.
I see. So you're kind of preparing some investments back in India.
So what I was telling, like keeping in mind that I might stay back here, or maybe down the line in future I might move back to India. I have kept both my options open, but ideally with the new law, I will be finishing 5 years next year, so I am eligible to take a German citizenship next year. So let's see how it goes.
Nice.
So I still have not decided, but I am not in this kind of conflict that right now I am not in that kind of mental position to think about whether I'll be moving back or I'll be staying here. I'm keeping both my options open. So with that, all my future decisions had been made, including the financial ones. So for that, there are a certain amount of remittance that goes to India. So I am contributing to Indian economy,
a lot,
even
actually.
though I'm here.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Yeah.
If I may ask, like, what do you recommend for other Indians who are earning here? What should they invest their money in over here, but also back in India?
I am not going to give any kind of
investment advice.
Then
They
are subject to market risk. In India, you will see these kind of advertisements, and then after that, they read this fine line very fast, where they talk about the terms and conditions.
Let's add that. No recommendations, no advice at all.
No,
but just from your own personal experience, what has worked well for you, and what do you prefer as your investment options personally?
Maybe a bit of possibly. I am just starting to look into these kind of scenarios. Maybe some stock trading.
But why would you send money back to India to do that?
Economically, the companies make more profit there.
In India, the growth is higher, right?
Yeah. So
interesting.
And here, I am still exploring it. So my roommate is very pro in these kind of scenarios. So probably I'm learning a bit from him as well. That crypto could be one of the scenarios. But in India, it's not allowed to. But here there are no such restrictions. So, but this is also a question subject to market risks. So
of course,
I am not recommending anyone anything.
I would not recommend anyone crypto for sure. I've made my experiences with that. How about land? Do you think it's a good idea to buy apartments or land property in India?
Yeah, that's a good option to invest. I think this is something which I've already done. In case I'm going back, I will have a place to stay.
Yeah. So fantastic.
Yeah. Then in India the price increases, unlike here. So, which is a good investment, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm always impressed by people who can do this kind of long-term thinking. I'm not so much into that.
To be very honest, I never ever have thought about these in last years. Nowadays, probably because I'm growing old, I am thinking about this a lot lately.
You're still in your early 30s. We should.
I am 32.
32, right?
Yeah.
But I guess that feels a bit like you're getting into the mature part of your life.
Looks like,
right?
Even I feel that sometimes.
Let's talk
Either I'm getting mature or I'm growing old. I don't know which one is correct.
Let's talk about one more big topic that is part of grown up adult life, which is relationship and marriage and family. I think that's also a big topic for a lot of Indians who come here, where they're coming from a culture where usually arranged marriage is the norm.
True.
So you don't really have to do a lot of proactive steps to find a partner. It happens around this age. How was that for you?
So usually the state where I come from, in Bengal, people more or less are not into arranged marriage. They usually find for themselves. So when I think when I turned 27 or 28, my father started asking me, and that at this age I was already married. Now you should look for yourself or find a partner. But then there had been no force as such. Like, I was still free to do whatever I wanted to, unlike many of my friends and family members or cousins. My parents had been luckily a bit liberal on this side, that they never forced me to find a partner. But then they have given me a term that you are a snob person, we are not going to find someone for you, so you have to do it yourself.
Meaning you have too high demands.
I think so. Or I am a bit snob, so I have like different particular demands because of which my parents were like, what if I find you someone and you find them not suitable for you? You will, we will be blamed, so we do not want to get into that scenario, so find yourself. We are not going to help you there. But at this age, like, you start getting lots of similar kind of requests, not only from your parents but from other family members as well. Whenever I meet them in person or in a call, at least once or twice they mention this, like, when are you getting married? And shall we search someone for you?
Yeah. So when are you getting married, Sneh?
I don't know. In India, it's a big business, I would say. The matrimonial services, there are like, they do earn lots of profit. I think this year 47 lakh people are getting married. So it's a huge revenue generating business. There are lots of websites. One of them is like, I think something like
Shadi.com?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, so they are rich. The CEO of the Shadi.com is very rich because there's a very big business there.
It's one of the biggest businesses, right? I mean, if you look at everything that's associated with it, all the preparation, all the clothing that's bought, all the locations, all the cars and fridge, and it's like one of the biggest spending events in a lifetime.
The great Indian weddings.
The great Indian weddings.
But in my opinion, it's like lots of money to spend on these.
Well,
I still prefer a very private, small ceremony would be great. One of my colleagues got married in Copenhagen, because in Germany you cannot get married. I really liked that ceremony.
How do you mean you can't get married in Germany?
Because there are some complicated paperwork. So in Europe, if you want to get married, you have to go to Denmark. There, it's a bit simple, the paperwork is, so, and the marriage certificate is recognized worldwide. So lots of people, lots of couples who are living here, they opt to go there and get married. It's a simple court marriage.
Interesting. Was it a cross-cultural marriage or Indian?
Indian, cross-cultural, anything can be done. But
I mean,
the one which I attended, that was an Indian marriage. Yeah. But I have seen cross-cultural marriage. But for the people from the subcontinent, if they want to get married here, because they do not get the certificate of something, I don't remember, so they have to get married in Denmark.
I see.
It is easier.
Yeah.
And it's simple, because in India it goes for 7 days and it's lots of money. Not everyone can afford it, but then because of social stigma, they have to spend lots of money on that.
I mean, that's
they
one
are
of the
kind
reasons,
of bound to spend. So
yeah, that's one of the reasons that a lot of Indian men work extremely hard and save and invest, because they know this huge expense is coming.
It's going to,
You're probably setting some money aside for that.
No, not at all. I am very clear about this. Like, if in case in future I'm planning, then I will get a small.
And do you think that you will end up going the arranged marriage path, or do you think you will find someone on your own?
Usually the arranged marriage part is taken care by the parents or some family members. I have nowadays seen people creating their own profiles on these kind of websites. I don't think I will be going that path.
But your
at least as of now.
But your parents are creating.
No.
Okay, they're just asking.
They just asked me to do it. They had been very clear about this. We are not going to do this for you. You have to do it yourself.
In the extended family, they might have already created profiles.
They have been asking this, but in Europe we have GDPR.
If you find them.
If I find them, I can sue them.
Wow. It's a big topic, obviously. Like, how is it going here in Germany when it comes to finding potential partners?
So to be very honest, I have not been putting any effort as such. Either I was not getting time or I was into something else. So I don't know, to be very honest.
But you're cool about
some of the things, I have been cool about it. I never had this kind of urge that I immediately need someone to live with.
Because that's what Indian society, in a traditional sense, tends to put in your head, that you need to be married
You
by
need
30.
to be. I never had that kind of urge that I immediately need to be. So probably I was lucky in that way. And then I have been attending these meetups, right? So there is something which started. And probably that was the point where I thought maybe I need, or maybe I do not, I don't know. But the To be very honest, the main reason behind attending the meetups were to increase my confidence so that I can be more confident at work or at different social scenarios. So to me, it was not only the partner perspective, but also I wanted to improve myself.
Absolutely.
Like how I speak or how I tackle these kind of social scenarios.
That's why the meetup group is called Conscious Confidence.
Yes. Not conscious partners.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how we met. For those of you who are watching, Sneh came to a meetup that I host in Berlin where we practice our confidence and social skills, our speaking skills. We talk to each other, we talk to strangers. We just get out of our comfort zone. And I want to talk about that as well in a moment. But before that, I wanted to ask, how does it feel for you to not know what's going to happen? Most people at this age, they need some kind of certainty, and they feel the pressure. And there are some reasons for that pressure as well. I mean, there are some arguments that my Indian mother, for example, would bring forward when she said, I have to be married. And the main argument is, it sucks to be old on the marriage market because then you only find other old people or no one at all because they think that something must have been wrong with you, that you didn't end up with someone yet. And also the other problem they say is that it's not good to have children late. Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think that Indian culture wants you to be married early?
I don't know why, but I know the solution, which is why I am here. I escaped that. I am not in India. So I saw here the average age of people getting married is sometimes 35, even 40, even the late 40s. So I guess it's fine here, but in India there are different social scenarios. Maybe our parents got married at a younger age. They feel the same for us, but now the scenario has changed a lot. Earlier also there was another scenario, people used to die early. Now the age the number of years people live, the average age of life has increased. So we do not need to have similar kind of expectation what we had before. So probably that is one of the biggest reasons our parents always kind of force us, like, time will go away, do not waste time and get married early. And then once you get married, immediately conceive, plan children. So, but we are living in a country with population of, I think now it's 1.4 billion. We don't need more.
Actually, I disagree with that. I think the population is not a problem. In India, there is so much space, there is so much resources, empty space.
Yeah, there.
And
indeed.
A lot of Indians say that the population is the problem that India is facing. That's why it's poor, but I don't see it that way. If there are more people, then you can create more, and there's enough space for everyone. So
people are the economy.
Yeah.
The more people, the more GDP.
Yeah. But then, of course, you have to divide it. That's the point. But there are some economies of scale where if you have more people, it's cheaper to provide certain goods. Like, for example, the legal system is one product that you have to create once, and then you can use it across the entire subcontinent or culture, you know.
But India is a conglomerate of different cultures. There are, like, each state has a different language, different
that
culture.
could be a problem.
So
that could be a problem. That is so incredibly diverse and thereby hard to govern.
It's very diverse. It's almost like Europe. Like, each state has different language, different culture. So, I mean, I won't compare any state. Like, I was born and raised in Calcutta, and then I lived in Bangalore. They are culturally completely different, even from the landscape perspective as well. So, it's not very uniform. You cannot, like, impose everything like one single rule to the whole country.
So then you came here, you said, I don't have to follow these outdated norms. And by the way, one reason that I think that Indian parents want you to marry early is that traditionally it's important to have children.
Yeah.
Because they're your safety net they're the ones who are going to take care of you when you're old. And when life expectancy is low and you turn 50 or 60 and from 40 you basically need help, then you need to make children at 20. You need to make children at 25 because otherwise they're not grown up yet and not yet able to take care of you when you need their help. I think that's where this culture is coming from.
Now the life expectancy has increased, and at least from my generation, I ideally would expect not to look at children as an investment, that because they are not. So that's a different story altogether. I mean, if we think in that way, why do we need to invest in children? Then we can invest in our old age investments and
Exactly.
old age care. Like in these countries, they do. You have a pension, so your children is not your pension. Or
I guess it's very different from person to person. Of course, many people really value kids and they really want to have family early. They want to have a lot of children.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on.
You should be able to go for that as
person,
well, but
yeah.
I guess there shouldn't be a pressure on people to do that.
Yeah, I mean, till our parents' generation, the culture was completely different. That was always expected, that you have to take care of your parents. But now the society has overall progressed, so we do not need to think about our children as our investments who are going to take care of you when you're growing old. Take me as an example. I am living in Germany. My father is in India. So how much I am actually taking care of him, except for sending some money and taking care of his health insurance. So
Well, that's actually something. That's quite a bit.
And like me, there are like a number of people living outside India, outside their state. Are they really taking care of? I mean, that's a very controversial question. I should not be stating this, but what kind of care that you were mentioning, that probably also involves like physical presence, but career choices and life choices not always make that possible. So I mean, I don't think ideally, at least in our generation, we should be considering children as an investment who is going to take care of you when you grow old.
So you came over here, you started realizing that maybe you can actually find someone like the Western way and actually get a love marriage eventually. Or are you not even thinking about it at all at this point? Because some people say they don't really care about marriage, they don't want to get married at all, they don't really want to date and find someone. It's not on the agenda for you.
So that, to be very honest, was never my agenda. Maybe I'm growing old, so in future I might think about it. But if it happens, I don't mind. But I am not very particular about searching someone or being very desperate about searching a life partner. That is what I was telling you, right? So to me, it was more of a self-improvement, which I am looking forward to. Ideally, I have seen this, or I have been reading this a lot, like if you are working on yourself, people get attracted to you. Yeah, so.
That's true, but then I guess it hasn't happened yet that you found someone here in Germany. You're still single as far as I understand.
Yes, so I have not put much effort, to be very honest. I never thought about it that
But then
way,
maybe the attitude that you have, where if it's happened, it's happened.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to reconsider that a little bit. Because if it hasn't happened in the last 5-10 years, then why would it happen in the next 5 years?
Yeah, that is what, like, if it happens, then it happens. Otherwise, you convinced me.
Yeah.
Like, why should I?
Like, I think this idea that love just happens is a big lie. It's a huge lie. And everyone kind of knows this and even enacts it, because people nowadays meet online. That's like the main source of relationships forming. And online, you make it happen. You do a lot of work to get a relationship and a date online. You put a picture there, you swipe for hours, you go on a date, you make yourself pretty, you actually pay, you actually put money into that app, pay someone on the other side, and they're also making it happen. They're not saying that if love happens, it happens. They're engineering it with data scientists like you and putting a lot of brain power into making love happen. So many people are working to make love happen. It's a business in India as well, right? It's a huge economy. All of these people are doing it very intentionally. Why would you sit here and say, yeah, if it happens, it happens?
Why do I need to pay and get this done.
Well,
I don't need to make them rich.
Yeah,
the
but in the end, I would say around 30 to 40%, maybe 10% of the app users end up paying for the dating apps.
Yes.
And in India, most people pay for the matchmaking service.
The matchmaking service is not free.
Not free.
That is
so
correct.
yeah, most people pay, and that's an act. That's not let it happen. That's making it happen.
In India, it's kind of a cultural thing which has been made online. So the matchmaking service. Here, I don't know whether using online app is a cultural thing or it is because we have no other option. That is why we are downloading the app.
But that's like one act, right? And what I'm trying to say here is that if you want to find a partner, you cannot have the attitude of, if it happens, it happens. I mean, some people can have that attitude.
Yeah.
Those people for whom it happens. But if it doesn't happen for you, I mean, it didn't happen for me when I had that attitude, by the way. Didn't really happen for me. So some people are different and they have to make things happen. And they might have to create an online dating profile. They might have to put some effort into their pictures. They might have to hire a photographer. They might have to learn how to text. They might have to learn how to go on amazing dates. And all of that seems like you're not really doing that.
I am not really doing that. But since you're talking about how to text, you also need to learn how to talk.
Sure.
So if you're doing this online or if you're doing it offline, these communication skills are very important, which I personally feel. So, I mean, if you are dating or not, I mean, maybe you could be preparing yourself for that. You should be always ready. So, like, what if this happens?
Yeah.
And then you cannot ultimately continue the conversation, then what was the purpose of happening it? So, I'm not talking particularly about online or offline, or maybe both. Whoever is trying or doing what.
That's true. Like by having this conversation, you are actually doing something that is helping you to attract a partner eventually. Because because
really?
You are learning and practicing. I'm also practicing how to have good conversations, and that's a really valuable skill when it comes to attracting
anyone. Not only relationship.
Exactly.
I would say.
I mean relationship in the broad sense of the word.
Yes.
Business, friendship, or love.
Exactly.
That's a good perspective. But then at the same time, when you do this kind of stuff, you go to the gym, you eat well, you work on your career, you practice talking to friends and to people maybe of the same gender for now, but then you still don't see any romantic connections happen, then maybe there's something missing and you need to do more. And that is kind of also, I guess, the trigger point where you said, hey, let me come to this meetup. And that's the story that I would love to tell for the audience how we met. You came to a meetup that I host, and in that meetup we come together once a week and we practice our social skills. We do like some challenging exercises, first just with ourselves in the group, and then sometimes also out in public. And we go and just do a loud sound, or we do a somersault in the middle of the street, or we lie down on the street, or we just give a talk to the group, right? All of these things are kind of difficult. And then, of course, the climax is just talking to strangers, approaching people that we don't know at all. And you came to that meetup, and I was impressed. You came regularly. You were like excited. How was it for you to attend those meetups?
It had been good. I sort of started applying these kind of learnings which I had at different places, including my life, not only meeting women. So that helped me a lot in making different connections, interacting with new people. Recently, I attended an event called Data in Motion. So it was held in Frankfurt. I met lots of different people from different companies, and I was able to make connections there, network there, interact with different people with my problem, what I am solving at work, and get to know their problem. So I felt my interpersonal communication has improved a lot, which was not there before. It could be because I never tried, or the other thing is obviously what I have been practicing is reflecting. So yeah, I mean, that is what my goal had not only been very romantic, it had also been very personal, so that I can apply this everywhere.
Absolutely. So like, you need to know everyone needs to know that oftentimes I talk about this romantic aspect, but the core of my work isn't that. The core of my work is helping people on their personal development journey, becoming the best version of themselves, having a clear vision for where they actually want to be as a person, and in this case as a man, because I work with men. But, you know, it's harder to get people's attention with this kind of talk.
Yeah.
And it's something very deep and complicated and not so sexy. And
not everything has to be sexy.
Yeah. But it's good if on the surface you have something a little bit more flashy that you can show. And so I often talk about dating because that's like one of the biggest problems where everyone in my audience agrees that this is a real defined problem. Whereas when I say, hey, you don't know your vision, you don't know exactly your purpose in life, people will be like, yeah, but whatever. It's not a very painful problem. Whereas the more superficial, almost more crude and primitive desire for connection and romantic connection is something that's more on the top of people's minds. But of course, this whole community, that's why I named it Conscious Confidence and not Dating Confidence, is about developing yourself as a person into the best that you can be, also spiritually, also as a consciousness.
Yeah.
And all of that, I hope I was able to bring that through, and I'm glad that you saw it that way. But then again, some people also end up ignoring the dating part and work on themselves a lot, work on their careers, work on their communication skills, but then don't actually take it to talking to women. So how was it for you? Were you able to apply this stuff also to dating? Offline dating in this case?
To be very honest, I have not been to any date till now. So maybe if something comes up, I will be able to. I think so. And
the first step would also be, of course, just starting a conversation, in this case offline, with someone that you meet in the real world. Does that happen for you sometimes, where you meet someone or you start a conversation with someone maybe at a bar or at a cafe?
Yeah, lately I have not been hanging out at any bar or cafe, but I was mentioning I usually go to lots of tech events. So there it had been easier for me to initiate conversation.
And how does it feel for you when you see someone that you actually are a bit attracted to and you would like to start the conversation, and not just in a business or friendly way, but maybe also in a more romantic direction?
Unfortunately, I've never been to get into this kind of situation. Wherever I went, there were like more men. So,
sure.
And I'm straight.
And what that?
I am straight, so never had that opportunity, I would say.
I guess that's a good point to start talking about the real, because at one of those meetups, we recorded a short video and we filmed Sneh talking to a couple of women that were just passing by, but we had talked to those women beforehand, and we told them, hey, we'd like to film a little funny reel where we film Sneh approaching you and saying hello, and we just see whatever happens. And we didn't plan anything else. We just told them, are you okay with being on this reel? We'd love to film something small for my Instagram channel. And they were like, yeah, okay. They were in a fun mood, and they started just walking to us like we had instructed. As a director, I was kind of filming and directing at the same time. And Sneh came in and did the approach just like we were planning. And then something interesting happened. You had a pretty normal conversation. You made a compliment. You said something about her outfit. You inquired about something that she was wearing. But somehow this reel must have hit a nerve, because at this point it has 3.3 million views. It's one of the top 5 reels on my Instagram, and it's still giving me like hundreds and thousands of views every day. A lot of people have commented, 3,200 comments, and most of those comments are, let's say, rather negative. I suffered watching this. No green card for bro. They want you, bro, 100%. I couldn't watch it. Too awkward. Deport bro back to Bihar.
I am not from Bihar.
You're not from Bihar.
But I am happy if I get a flight ticket, but book a return ticket as well.
Well, a lot of people seem to want a one-way ticket for you. And
At least one way is also fine. I'll book the return one.
how can you be so cool about this? Like, this is really ridiculously disgusting what people are coming up with, and I was so shocked to see what dirty minds people have, and how racist and just derogatory they can be, and mean. And how do you deal with that?
I have been always telling this to whoever is asking me this question, that it was clearly mentioned it's a simulation. So I just did whatever I was asked to. And then I cannot do anything about it, right? Then I have to go down to their level and start fighting there. I do not have time for that. So I can just enjoy the comments. And then I'm really happy someone is offering me tickets to Bihar or wherever they want to. Please book me a ticket. Flights are really expensive.
There's a lot of people also who feel that you are offending India, the Indian nation. Like, some people say, on behalf of India, we disown him. You're destroying the India's reputation. Desh badmash kar rahe ho, aise kuch bol rahe wo log. So how do you feel about that when they use India and the pride of the nation to attack you here?
Again, it was very clear it's a simulation. So
Okay.
and
So they just don't get it. But then again, it is a simulation. At the same time, this is a kind of normal interaction, the way it often happens for people, especially from a different culture, who don't really know how to interact with an attractive woman that they feel interested in. So this is also become viral because everyone knows that this happens in reality too. Would you say in reality the interaction would have gone very different? In reality, you wouldn't have done it in the first place, I guess.
True. In reality, probably I would not have even approached like that. But then otherwise, I don't know how other people are approaching in a different cultural scenario, because I come from India and the woman there is probably from Berlin as well. So there will always be these kind of differences, and we need to get out of the comfort zone. I'm again talking not only about the romantic aspect as well as the different aspect of your life when you're talking to a stranger. If you are videographing it, it will always look cringe. So, I mean, I cannot help there. So the last thing which I can do is enjoy the comments. So
same here. I mean, people told me I should delete the comments, but it would be a half-time job to go through these comments and delete the ones that are stupid.
But then there are lots of comments. You cannot go and delete 3,000 comments every day.
No way.
And that is how social media works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they are also very entertaining. It's true.
Yeah. To me, it was very entertaining. I was reading them and most of the time laughing at what is going on. Or probably I had been very successfully able to cringe myself down so that I was able to receive this kind of reaction. So I did my job well.
Just gonna read out a few more here. It's so much fun. Don't ever do this again. Get out of here. What the fuck is this? No one wants you here. What else here? Pest in India, slave in the rest.
Yeah, this I saw. I did not understand what.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
You gotta start somewhere. That's the thing. Like, I'm so sad because most people there, they probably should think about doing this themselves, and instead they're out here spreading hate, pulling you down for trying and making a step and getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, it could be. I should be very happy about it that I was able to act really well and was able to bring these kind of reactions. Probably I should be unhappy because these kind of reactions are not really what.
Why do you think that the reaction of most people seems to be cringe? And also,
it looked cringe. That is what I'm saying. Like when two person from different culture will interact, there will be some awkward moments in between, whether you plan a script or it is unplanned, and we record it. It would look cringe.
I see.
I don't know if like two person talking for the first time, not very socially skilled, will have a very smooth conversation worth writing a book or writing dialogues. So it will be always like that. So I mean, that was a very normal conversation. So I mean, yeah, that looked really cringe. I also agree to that fact. But then I don't know how smooth can that go. If it can go smoother, other persons, whoever is commenting there, can also set up similar kind of scenario and upload videos of that. Nobody is stopping them. That is why social media is there for. Why don't they do that?
There's a big line of attack saying you should stay with your own race. Brown people should only date brown people, and don't ever hit on white women. Like, of course, there's a cultural aspect, but I think if it was a Spanish person approaching a German woman, they would never have freaked out like this. What do you think about the inherent racial component here? Do you think it's a thing, and do you think that made it even more creepy for people, and I guess more incompatible culturally, that you are from a faraway culture and the skin color is different?
If you are directly comparing Germany and Spain, they are also not very culturally similar. So exactly. I don't think that aspect actually works. But if someone has this kind of mindset, that is a bit unfortunate. But I don't know, in this 21st century, do we need to think about skin color, really?
That's what I was so shocked about, that so many people seem to be in that mindset where skin color determines basically what kind of options you have in life. It's ridiculous. Anyways, I made a video, 10 to 15 or 20 minutes video, where I explain exactly why this video was perceived as cringe. And I also gave a long explanation in there on how you can change that. Because it's true, in the beginning, it will usually be a bit cringy when you're just starting, but of course you want to change that as fast as possible. And in that video, I'll link it. I explain how to change it. Deport. When he's not gonna get his visa.
I'm paying 42% tax per month. I don't want to get deported like this.
He's not gonna get his visa renewed. Just give him 10 rupees and move on.
10 euros maybe. Rupees will not work here.
Out of my country. Stay away from white women. I actually got that message from the same guy. He messaged me as well. Stay away from white women. Okay, I guess we can end this here. Thinking about intercultural relationships, do you think that's something that could work for you, marrying and being with someone from Germany?
I have seen many intercultural relationships working. I don't know about myself, to be very honest, because I never thought about it in that serious way. I even know one guy, he is also from Bengal and his wife is Italian and they're living somewhere in Germany. I see their funny scripts. They also post similar kind of videos on Instagram, like how the cultural difference, but they are working together. So I guess it works. We are human beings. We're living in 21st century where everything is connected. There should not be a problem in cultural differences. Either we learn, we compromise, and then we go ahead. So I don't know about myself, but it works. Again, I'll come back to a very old example. Subhash Chandra Bose, his wife is also German.
Oh, right. I remember there was something, yeah.
And their daughter is currently living in Augsburg. So.
And I'm also a child of a cross-cultural relationship. My mom is from Jammu and Kashmir, my father is from Germany.
Oh, nice.
What would you say as an advice, coming slowly to the end here, for people who want to really learn the culture and adapt more and integrate themselves more? How can they do that?
Germany is very respectful or conservative about their language. So I felt it is very important to learn the language irrespective of how good you speak English. The other reason behind this is, in India, English had been our second language. Here in schools, I think it starts after like 6th or 7th standard. So probably this language gap, they are also doing or working very hard. I have seen my colleagues working very hard to learn English as well. So if they are coming out of their comfort zone to give us that level of comfort, we should also work that way to adapt whatever is being offered. Ultimately, till we have the German citizenship, we are foreigners here.
Yeah.
So
I guess language is one part. What about
yeah.
other cultural aspects, like the myths, the stories, the movies? Because that also makes up for a lot of communication, where you need to have a shared reference to culture.
Which movies you're talking about, by the way? Like
When
Bollywood movies, or
no, more like
portraying Europe, or
no, I'm talking about the cultural artifacts that connect people in a society together. For example, in Germany, people know the myth of the Nibelungen. That's like one old German myth.
Okay.
And it's somehow in our collective memory. And if you're coming from the outside and you just don't know that at all, it's like coming to India and you don't know the Mahabharata, you know?
Okay.
And there's stuff like that. So I wonder if you've started exploring a bit more the history, the culture, the stories of this land, and if that's a good way also to get to know the culture better and integrate more.
So the history of Europe we already study in our high school, in school days as well. So some of them I can still relate, and I studied in a Christian school. So I knew some of these days on which South Germany gets holiday, we do not. Yeah. So to me that was not something very new, because probably I already knew. Apart from that, the biggest cultural shock was FKK. So which probably I would have never ever experienced anywhere else. I will tell you a funny story. So I go to saunas here, and there ideally FKK. I thought that is everywhere in Europe, and I went to Barcelona. There inside the sauna I went FKK, and they were like, "Are you from Germany?" I was like, "Yes."
It's not like that everywhere, right?
Yeah,
even in Finland, I went to
that,
Finland, where they have invented kind of the sauna culture. They go in with the shorts.
Yes. So I think that was the biggest cultural shock for me. But apart from that, I was sort of expecting that I am moving to a different country. So I kept my mindset open that what kind of challenges I will be facing, they will always be new for me. And there was no expectation that this will happen and this will not happen. So, and since I was listening to these songs, I already realized this language is difficult. Grammar, articles, there, the, das, them, then, this, whatnot. Yeah.
Man, that was a very comprehensive conversation. I'd love to thank you, first of all, for being here and opening up about some of the darker aspects as well of being an immigrant. And if there's anything else that you would like to share with me or the audience, feel free. Anything else, maybe as a wrap up?
So probably that I would say the trains here do not have turnstiles. They are not free. You have to pay. If you are traveling without a ticket, you have to pay €60 fine.
Good point. That's important. Let me actually try to wrap it up with one last question, which is, thinking about everything we've talked about today, what would you say was the main challenge in coming over here from India?
From India to come over here, the main challenge was obviously the paperwork. Not getting the visa, it's very simple. But after coming here, the paperwork that starts.
Yeah. Finding
an apartment. I was lucky, I got one very fast, but I still see people who are currently moving here. It's very difficult to find an apartment right now. And the cost of living in Berlin in the last 4 years have increased a lot. So people who are wondering I might be earning a lots of money, I also have to spend lots of money to sustain here. So these are the challenges which I feel right now I have need to work towards. So the paperwork aspect, I am lucky that I get lots of support from my employer. The language aspect, I am still learning. I just did B1, so probably I'll see. I need to practice as well, because whoever I talk to, I mostly converse in English. So that's a challenge. Like, I need to find, probably this is where this will come into effect, that I talk to a stranger and ask him or her, will you practice Deutsch with me? So maybe that's where the conscious confidence will work.
Yeah. Thank you, Sneh.
Thank you.
All the best.
Wish you the same.